and welcome to the Rachel Holmes Lifestyle Show. This is another of my special edition, health and wellness editions, where I bring you the world's most innovative and prolific wellness specialists. Today, I'm talking to Lisa Goldberg. Lisa Goldberg is a former personal trainer working at Equinox in New York, to now being a clinical dietitian, a lifestyle coach, and author of the new book, The Food Fight, which is such an awesome title. I know you're going to get so many great tips and ideas with how Lisa actually coaches her personal clients. You're going to love it.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for agreeing to do our little chat today. How are you?
I'm great, Rachel. Thank you so much for having me. This is really terrific. I'm excited to be here.
So welcome. So Lisa, tell me a little bit about your personal journey and how you've got to where you are right now with your work.
Okay, well, I'm a nutritionist and lifestyle coach. And so what really got me into that is I hit the freshman 15 right out of the gate when I got into college. So, growing up, I was always, pretty active. I was, into sports. I, was a, regular weight, for my height and my age. But going to college, forget it. I mean, if I got there in September, by November, by the time I saw my family Thanksgiving, I got off the plane and my mother was like, "What happened to you?" Like, I look like a completely different person. And so kind of, that really started my journey of, learning about, I didn't even know what one does. I didn't even know anything about dieting. So I started to read magazines and I, started to do all like these, crazy shake diets and eat one meal a day. And I probably gained and lost the same 15 pounds at least 3 times my freshman year, and then I left school. I went on a super strict diet and, did all those, Slim Fast. Remember Slim Fast, the shake out of the can and all that stuff. And so, I did that. And then, but I started to get into exercise and fitness. And so I was able to stabilize my weight. I lost the weight. And for, I'd say, most of the rest of school, I was able to kind of stay steady. But then, of course, I graduated. I moved in with roommates and I experienced the same thing. So, we all, you move into New York City. What do? You go out a lot and you eat all the wrong food and you have too many cocktails and because, you can. And so, so that kind of started the cycle for me over and over again. And I kind of felt like every Sunday night, my roommates and I would pig out on ice cream and Chinese food. And every Monday we'd start a new diet. So I really became interested in nutrition then. And I was actually a retail marketing major in school. So I was working in fashion and, I kind of hit a period, in the early 90s where there was a recession and I had been going to the gym a lot and I liked working out. And I was thinking, they always say that you should do for a living what you're really passionate about, but I didn't know how one actually made a living in the, health and fitness arena. But when I was in, my retail life, I had worked as an account coordinator for Lancome Cosmetics. And it turned out that a woman that I knew, her family started Equinox fitness clubs.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So I called her and I actually said, I don't know if you remember me, but, I don't know what one does to, get into the fitness industry. But long story short, I went into sales for Equinox and then I became certified as a personal trainer. And after doing that for a little bit, I decided I need to do more. So I finally stepped it up and I went out back to school for my master's in clinical nutrition. And as I started to counsel clients, I realized because, when you're in school and you get, the clinical degree, you kind of talk about, protein, fats, carbs, calories, what to eat, what not to eat, calories in, calories out. And as I started to do my nutrition counseling, I realized that there was so much more. People were struggling with more than just what to eat. I noticed it was their habits and their behaviors. And what they really wanted to know is, what can I eat after dinner? And I have these cravings and I'm not hungry, but, I feel like I can't finish my meal unless I have something sweet. And I realized there was a lot of behavioral stuff that really happened for people. And it wasn't so much about the food. So I kind of, really started to focus on, behaviors and habits and really what goes on in people's heads and why do people go on diet after diet after diet and they lose the weight but they gain it back. So that's really how I started to do my work with clients. And now my focus is habit, behavior, and mindset change, because I feel like if that doesn't change, you could go on any diet under the sun. If I could give you any, and I don't even call it a diet plan now, I give my clients nutrition plans that it's part of their life. If you comply to anything, you're going to lose the weight. But if you don't change the habits and behaviors that cause the weight gain in the first place, that weight's just going to come back no matter what you do.
Absolutely. So it's, as we said when we were chatting earlier, anybody can give you a diet sheet. You can download 100 different diets from the internet. You can follow every kind of workout. But if you're not getting the big rocks in place, the behavior, the sleep, the stress, and all these things that when we're in our 20s and our 30s, we just sail through them. But then suddenly it's almost if we hit this kind of toxic load where our bodies can't seem to take anymore and health problems start to come, and not just weight gain, but all kinds of health implications start to load up on us. So you live in New York City, a very health conscious part of the world. I was just there last week and everybody seems to look fabulous, dress and is very slim. So, what are people coming to you? What sort of is your client? What are they coming to you with?
Most of my clients have been on 1 million diets. They've gained and lost weight. I have a lot of people who spent their life on Weight Watchers. But, the biggest thing is that they've gained and lost weight, and they've gained and lost weight. And usually when somebody emails me, it's kind of like they don't know what else to do. And they either find me by Googling me, or they're referred to me. And what they really know that they need to do is they know they need to create a real change. That something more than just their food needs to change, because they just realize that they're struggling. And they know, most people, I call them, I'm like, they're expert dieters.
Yeah.
They know how to go on a diet. They know how to lose the weight. But what they can't do is keep the weight off. And so what we really work on, it's a little bit, and I tell them, I said, this is going to feel a little bit like food therapy. Because, and a lot of it is, and I start, some of my questions when I start is, what was your relationship with food growing up in the family? Because there's so many people that, their parents made them clean their plate, or they got rewarded with something sweet, if they did something good, or, if they cleaned their plate, then they got dessert. So that was the reward. And there's, I work with a lot of people where food was scarce in their house. So now that they're older and they're more financially stable, they feel like I could afford to eat more. And so whatever it is for different people, they have like this emotional struggle with food. And that's really what I help them with, because it's almost as if they give all the power. People talk about willpower. It's not about willpower, because willpower only lasts so long. And I always, and it's about self-talk. So I always tell my clients, don't say, I can't eat that. I shouldn't eat that. I'm not supposed to eat that, because that's disempowering. That's giving the power, taking it away from yourself. So the self-talk I tell them is, I choose not to eat that. And I make them have a big why, and the why has to be bigger than, I just want to lose 20 pounds, or I just want to lose 50 pounds. The why has to be, and I hear everything from, I want to live longer for my children, or my life would change. I feel like I'd have more confidence to go out and find a relationship. So the why has to be bigger than just the weight, because I ask people when they're in that moment of struggling with, do I eat the cookies, or I'm feeling pulled to eat the cookies, if they could just remember their why, and what's more important, to remember what they're trading. They're trading this big, life-changing why, and the decision is that more important than the cookies? And so it's a lot of self-talk, and people who kind of need to change. I always say there's two voices: the one that says, what the heck, I'll worry about it later, and the one that says, are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
And until they really start to learn how to listen to the logical voice in their head, they struggle with that very familiar emotional voice, because in their head, they've been taught that the food makes them feel better. But in the truth is, the food makes them feel worse.
Right. So this is a long term. This is something that you can't just think, okay, I'm going to change how I think today. It's a long term, and we live in this fast fix society. Everybody wants fast fitness, slim in 2 days, 21 days to this, that, the other. It's just, everything is fast, fast, fast. But this is a real mindset shift because things take time. Sophia, your client that comes to you, is it small changes? Is it baby steps on a weekly basis? How does this kind of translate to real life?
Yeah, well, a lot of it is baby steps because like anything else, if you give somebody too much all at once, it's overwhelming. And then they just feel like they can't do it. And it is. I tell people it's a process of change. If you're looking for a quick fix, if you're looking to lose weight quickly, I'm not the nutritionist and coach for you. Most of my clients see me at a minimum of 6 months, a year, some stay for 2 years, some just kind of need that constant support and accountability because it is about changing how they think and it is about changing what they use food for when it's not fuel. So, we start off with, I find out really about them and how they live their life because that's really important. And then each time we meet, it's finding out how they did in the course of the week and then seeing what they do and giving them small goals. So, I often say, what's the most immediate problem that needs to be solved to get you where you want to be? And then we work on what they feel like that immediate problem is. And for some people, it's like, I can't stop eating at night. Okay, so let's work on that. Let's create some plan Bs as opposed to using food because you're looking to relax. You feel like, it's your way of unwinding, even though you're not hungry at the end of the day. A lot of people just sit on the couch with a bag or a box of X, and that's their downtime. The kids are asleep or they're home from work. And so what else can you do to make yourself feel better that doesn't involve food and eating because you're really not hungry? So it's kind of figuring out what it is for each person. I hear often, I have anxiety at night. Sometimes people, if their brain is busy, when their brain's no longer busy, there's stuff they start to think of and they eat because of anxiety. So everybody's a little bit different, but it's a matter of seeing what it is and kind of taking steps at a time. And, my philosophy is there's nothing you can't eat.
Yeah.
And so I don't eliminate food. So I'm not like a no dairy, no carbs, no this. I mean, I'm not a big proponent of sugar and white flour products and stuff like that. So, whatever people eat, I want it to be healthy. But I kind of feel like when you restrict people right off the bat, it just makes them want something more. So unless a client says, I prefer not to eat carbs or I'm gluten sensitive or I don't want to eat dairy. So it's really about what they want. But I'm about how much and how often in 7 days, because everyone could remember their 7 days.
Yeah.
So in our 7 days, if we eat, well, most of the time, we could eat a little crappy some of the time.
Yeah.
And we could still lose weight and still maintain our weight.
Yeah.
And people kind of feel comfortable because whenever they come to see a nutritionist, the first thing they think is, what am I what's going to be taken away?
Taken away, yeah. Yeah, and that becomes very overwhelming and that causes anxiety.
Right.
Women are, solely obsessing or thinking about food. When are they next going to eat? Even if they're on a diet, what are they going to be allowed to eat? How much? When? And also socializing. It's the same in the UK as the US. We socialize a lot around food. We go out with friends, family. We go to restaurants. Food is so at the top of the agenda on a daily basis. How do we stop obsessing over food and taking a healthy interest, so changing our mindset so we're not focused solely on everything that's going through our mind is to do with food. How do we take that shift? That's such a big one.
Well, I kind of think what really needs to happen is you kind of need to, there's something that people are desiring in those moments. So sometimes we use food to fill buckets that aren't filled in other aspects of our life, whether it's relationship or family or work. There's something else that needs to be filled. So oftentimes the obsessing, a lot of times we're either not busy enough, right? And because I hear all the time, and I heard it just recently from a client, oftentimes when she comes home, she's thinking about that thing in the cabinet.
Yeah.
But on the days that she comes home and she's doing a little bit of work or she's busy with something else, she's not thinking about that thing in the cabinet until her brain starts to quiet down.
Yeah.
So oftentimes, a lot of times there's other buckets because we have, food fills a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
We're lonely. We need a hug. We need some love. Work just isn't satisfying. We need a bigger social circle, whatever it is. And a lot of times because we're not busy with those aspects, we think about what can I eat? And so, this is the harder part, is to look a little bit inward and say, what am I really missing? That I keep thinking about food, that there's not anything else in my life, or what other aspects of my life need to be filled, that I keep thinking about this, because people will notice if they just pay attention that usually there's nothing going on, or they need a distraction. Like if you're at work and you're bored, most people want to get up from their desk and the first thing they think is, what am I going to go eat? And it's just what you're really looking for is a distraction. So nobody really thinks, I'm just going to go for a walk around the block, because if we're working, we think, well, we can't. But if I go eat something, that's a good excuse, because that's a little bit more acceptable in the office place, because you're hungry and you're going to go get something, versus I'm just getting out of here for a few minutes.
Yeah, very true.
So it's really just important to kind of pay attention that what is it that you really may be craving that has nothing to do with food.
Oh gosh, these are great steps. They really are. Now you put all this together in your brand new book, which you
I did, and I'd love to
tell us a little bit about the book.
Okay, I'm going to show you. I don't have a hard copy, but here's the graphic. It's called Food Fight.
Which is the best name ever.
All right, because that's what it is. It's kind of like a constant battle, do I or don't I? And it's called Winning the Battle with Food and Eating to Achieve Sustainable Weight Loss. And it's on Amazon. And so, what I really talk about in my book is everything that I talk about when I work with clients. Habit and behavior change, mindset change, the self-talk, being really mindful when you sit down and you eat your food, do you eat quickly, slowing it down, saving your food, all the things that we tend not to do anymore. The habits and behaviors, what are the messages that are in your head? And what type of self-talk can you replace it with? So, and also in the book, there's some healthy eating suggestions, there's some recipes, because you can't really talk to people about, how to change the mindset and lose weight. So it's not a diet.
Yeah.
But it's really, I kind of feel like the mindset stuff and the habit behavior change stuff is the missing piece of the puzzle to sustainable weight loss.
Yeah.
So if you start to create small habit changes, which is why, I don't put clients on diets, but if they try to eat better and they follow, a better nutrition plan for themselves, but they're eating foods that they like.
Yeah.
So the weight just starts to come off. And that's why, it's not a quick fix, but you have to be patient and kind to yourself, because a lot of people have that negative self-talk and they don't talk nicely to themselves. So Food Fight really gives you the tools and the strategies that I use with my clients about how to really create sustainable changes by changing their habits, behaviors, and your mindset.
Wow, it's amazing. So for somebody just watching this video thinking, gosh, I've been on every diet, I've done the cabbage soup diet, I've done the Slim Fast diet, like you say, gained the 15 pounds. Where do they start? How do they start? What would be the first thing that you would suggest?
The first thing I would suggest is kind of like taking, inventory of their food. And I always have clients keep food records, because it really gives them an idea of what they're eating and how they're eating.
So like a journal?
Absolutely. What they eat, what time they eat, how much they eat, how hungry they are on a scale of 1 to 10, where's their hunger. So they could kind of really get to see their patterns. They're eating because they're hungry, they're bored, they're lonely, they're anxious, whatever that is. Yeah. But the first thing I do is look at your overall nutrition that you eat every day. How much of it is processed? If you're eating a lot of processed food, get that stuff out. Let's start eating real whole food, because it's more filling and your body actually knows what to do with it better. Yeah. And then after that, I would look to see, are you eating because you're hungry? Is it head hunger or stomach hunger? Do you know what I'm saying? And food is pleasure, but if you make a mindful decision that you're going to eat the cookies, there's no remorse and regret. But if it's an emotional decision, you often beat yourself up. So first, the real first step is get whole healthy food into your daily nutrition, and also start to become aware of your habits and behaviors around food, what you're eating, why you're eating, how much you're eating. Yeah. And those are really the first steps to kind of get going, to get off the diet roller coaster, lose weight, and make it sustainable.
So you've got to have kind of a snapshot of exactly where you are and what you're eating, how much, how you feel, and how you're feeling after you've eaten certain foods as well.
Absolutely.
Do you feel satisfied, or do you feel that you need to go to sleep straight after? Is it making you feel good? Yeah. So that's a really good tip. What about the exercise component of it? Where do you fit into your coaching with the exercise side?
I always want clients to move. And so, you know, a lot of times I hear from clients that they say, you know, I don't have time to go to the gym, or I don't have an hour, or something like that. And here in New York City, most people have stairs.
Yeah.
So and a lot of people have stairs in their house. So there's no reason why people can't go up and down the stairs for 10 minutes, which is kind of a harder workout than sometimes running on a treadmill.
Yeah.
Go out for a walk, move your body. And so, you know, I have a background as a personal trainer, as I said earlier. And so, you know, I'm a big believer in fitness and moving, but it doesn't always need to, you know, be in a gym.
Yeah.
So, you know, here in New York, I'll tell people walk halfway to work and take public transportation the rest of the way, or vice versa on the way home. So there's always a way of just getting some kind of movement in your home. Do some sit-ups, do some push-ups, do some jumping jacks. You know, if you have a step stool, step up and step down. So you can, there's so much stuff online.
Yeah.
And you just go to YouTube. And if you could incorporate that into either daily, or if you want to designate, and usually what I tell people is write it in your calendar.
Yeah.
The same way you make an appointment with your trainer, with your doctor, with your dentist, and you allot that time and everything else gets planned around that appointment, do the same thing for your exercise.
Yeah.
Because if it's scheduled in your book, then you know how to manage everything else around it. And you can't say, well, I didn't have time.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Lisa, if people want to find out more about you and your book and your products and your online offerings, where can they find you?
Excellent. My website is lisagoldbergnutrition.com. And if they'd like to send me an email or have any questions, it's lisa@lisagoldbergnutrition.com. And you could also find me on Facebook at Nutritionist Lisa Goldberg.
Oh, fantastic. So if anyone wants to come and say hi, they can find you on Facebook really easily.
Absolutely.
Oh, Lisa, this has been an absolute pleasure. It's been lovely to connect with you. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
It's lovely to be here. And thank you so much for having me, Rachel. This was really terrific.
You're welcome. Thank you.